Welcome to Real Deal. I'm Terra.
And I'm Jazelle.
And it's February, meaning it's Black History Month. So for today's episode, we're going to be talking about American fiction, which was also suggested to us by Rich. Thank you for the recommendation.
Woohoo!
I also wanted to say that our first few episodes were pre-recorded, and so this is our first episode after all of the support and after our initial drop. And I wanted to say thank you guys so much for all of the support, all of the engagement on social media. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much for, being there to listen and giving us feedback. And we appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah.
That being said, let's just dive right into it.
Yes.
So American Fiction was directed by Cord Jefferson, and it is an adaptation of the book Erasure by Percival Everett. And the description on Letterboxd is Thelonious, or Monk, as he's known in the movie, Ellison's writing career has stalled because of his work and isn't deemed Black enough. Monk, a writer and English professor, writes a satirical novel under a pseudonym aiming to expose the publishing world's hypocrisies. The book's immediate success forces him to get deeper enmeshed in his assumed identity and challenges his closely held worldviews. And it stars Jeffrey Wright as Thelonious Monk Ellison, Tracy Ellis Ross as Lisa Ellison, his sister, John Ortiz, and then a host of other people, including Sterling K. Brown, Issa Rae, and a slew of other great actors. Sterling Brown, definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I love Issa Rae. I'm a huge Issa Rae fan. I flock to whatever Issa Rae is in, so I was so happy that she was in this. And I feel like Issa Rae adds a different amount of depth to, and I'm only going to go on this for like a short amount of time because she's not a huge character in the movie, but she adds a certain amount of depth to all of her different roles, but she's still at her core Issa Rae, which I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. She's still kind of got that attitude about her that is such a go-getter, and I really enjoy that. Anyway, back to the main point of the movie.
Let's just start off with where we watched it.
Yeah, so I watched this, I think in the afternoon, and it was a pretty empty theater, I will say. I think it was around like 1 or 2 p.m. I can't say that I really went in blind or anything because I'd seen trailers already, but What about you?
Yeah, I had seen the trailer. I think it gives you a very clear general idea of what it's going to be about, but I definitely think the conversations in the movie are more nuanced than what it gives in the trailer.
Yeah.
As far as audience size, it was maybe like half packed. Wow. And it was, I was surprised. It was a normal week of release day during maybe like 4 p.m. showing.
Okay.
But yeah, there were people in there and having a good time. And, I feel like definitely some people were like unsure if they could laugh at certain parts, like everyone who wasn't Black,
Yeah.
But, it was very funny, and that was the point, and made you have a more nuanced conversation about these things.
I loved it. I thought it was funny. There are some greater issues that I found that I think we'll get into later, but the audience in our theater did not laugh. I think they were unsure as to whether they could or could not be laughing at it, like you said. But I feel like I thought it was hilarious. I think we should laugh at those things. Mm-hmm. And just to give you guys like a deeper glance into the movie, it really deals with stereotypes and the assumptions we make. And the portraits that we kind of paint of ourselves to get further in our career. And I really enjoyed that look at it, especially in the publishing world, because I do write and Jazelle does too. And that's something that we both enjoy. And I think it is really interesting to have these conversations about what white media is looking for you to be sellable. So,
yeah. And definitely, along with that, I think that it dives deeper into like conversations between your own cultures about whether it's okay or not, and how some people are going to disagree about it. But, I think those conversations are important because you you often see sides that you didn't understand.
Yeah. You see Monk go home, and so now we're gonna kind of get into spoiler territory, as I always like to tell you guys. You see Monk go home. You know, he's kind of given like a little bit of time off from work as he's a professor because this guy's got anger issues. He's got pent up anger and, you know, kind of things going on. And the whole movie, you can see Jeffrey Wright's portrayal as a guy who's kind of just stuck behind his emotions. They're pent up. He doesn't know how to deal. He shuts people out. He gets frustrated. He gets angry. And I think that that's something that I do wish maybe was touched on a little more, a little bit more character development. I think he definitely deals with the repercussions of his attitude and the way that he treats people once he goes home for, you know, I think he goes home for what?
He goes home for academic leave.
Right. He goes home for academic leave, and then his sister ends up passing away, which keeps him in town longer. And now he kind of has to deal with this ruptured family dynamic between his mom, who's, you know, got Alzheimer's, and his brother, who has recently come out of the closet and is messing up his marriage. And another thing that I found interesting was this is a movie that talks about stereotypes. But I think Sterling Brown did such a great job with his role, but they really do inflict every possible gay man stereotype upon his character. And I did not particularly enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think that was a choice, considering the whole plot of the movie is like, we are more than our stereotypes, blah, blah, blah. Like, how do we market ourselves? And then you have Sterling Brown, who's, you know, got multiple men in his house, and like, they're all young, and like, he's on a destructive path and doing drugs. And I was like, okay, like,
yeah, there was definitely like, well, I was a repressed gay man. What do you expect narrative going on there? But I think that Sterling K. Brown did deliver like a very good monologue towards the end, which really grounded him.
Yeah.
And grounded his character, which is why, you know, we see him with so many nominations now.
Yeah, he has. So this film has 5 Academy Award nominations. And the Academy Awards aren't for another month, so we'll kind of get into this deeper then when we talk about our predictions. But I would love to see Sterling Brown take something home. He's got a nomination for supporting actor for this role. And I think Jeffrey Wright has something for best male lead. So I would love to see Sterling take it home. He's got stiff competition, but I think he would deserve it. This also won the People's Choice Awards at Toronto International Film Festival, and it had 2 Golden Globe nominations. So it's got a lot of awards, and a lot of accreditations.
As it should, I think.
Yeah.
It was a movie that I didn't expect to like so much.
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know. It seemed like kind of surface level at first.
Yeah.
And then going into it and actually watching it, I was like, oh, like there are some really like compelling conversations to be had here. And I think that I kind of expected that though, because I was like, Issa Rae wouldn't be in a movie that was like stupid.
Jeffrey Wright
like,
either. Jeffrey Wright's got some powerful stuff.
He does have some powerful stuff. I was like, okay, there's got to be more to this movie.
Yeah.
So I definitely figured that going into it, but the trailer kind of portrays it as like a silly sort of thing.
Yeah, it does look funnier. And I definitely wasn't expecting 20 minutes into the movie for Tracee Ellis Ross, who portrays a sister, to die.
Yeah, I did not expect that either.
I was like, oh, that kind of movie. Okay.
Yeah, and then to deal with topics about like Alzheimer's and grieving, you know, like past trauma, reconciling with your identity and being queer, and like there were so many topics that it covered that I just really didn't expect.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I will say maybe it seemed like a little too many things to try to discuss at one time.
Yeah.
I do feel like the sister's death, I'm not sure if that's something that's in the original novel, but I felt like we kind of glazed over that a little quickly. Like, I was like, whoa, okay. We're moving on a little fast.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot going on at once. And I almost wish that Sterling Brown was given a little more screen time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, things moved kind of fast. He put his mom in a home like immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, okay.
And then his girlfriend kind of just like really got on with his family like immediately.
Yeah, they were like really chummy. And I was like, oh, wow. It seems like she's been around for a long time. but you don't really get a sense of the movement of time in the movie. You don't really know how much time has passed in between all of these events.
Yeah.
So it does seem really fast at first.
Mm-hmm. And it's because they're trying to cover a variety of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I think that's maybe one of my main issues is time. But I really did enjoy it. I did enjoy the conversations. And I think it is so nice to expose so many viewers to like these uncomfortable conversations about race and about the things that people like to digest. I mean, look at the popularity of like Medea and like Tyler Perry, which is not representative of Black people at all, but it's so digestible and so popular in popular culture. And so I think that this was such a fresh take on kind of the opposite of that. And I think that's what Issa Rae's character represents, is somebody middle class, educated, who writes trash, essentially, you know, and people eat it up. And that's not her fault. It's not Tyler Perry's fault that people enjoy that kind of content. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to do what you want to do to make money and to make a name for yourself in the industry. And I do think that Monk kind of gets off his high horse a little bit because he is a little arrogant about it, you know?
Yeah, because Monk's opinion is like, well, why don't you see that you're feeding into, you know, the stereotypes and the desire to have media like this that portrays us in this way.
Yeah.
And I totally understand why he would view it that way. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, when Issa Rae does have that conversation and breaks it down for him, like, why? Yeah. She's like, I feel like similarly to you. Yeah. You're just like, you just have to see it this other way.
Yeah. And you're mad at me, but you really should be mad at the audiences that are buying this.
Right.
You know, and there are people whose lives are like that, mm-hmm. you know, that are reflected in the novel that she wrote, trash or not, you know, like, that's just the quality of the book, but people do have lives like that, and I don't think we should stray away from it. But I do get him, because I'm not going to lie, I do get exhausted when I go to the movies and there's like, bam, 5th trailer for a slavery movie. I'm sitting there like, do we have to have another one? Please, I'm tired. Like, I cannot take it anymore. Mm-hmm. Let's just take a little break from the slavery movies, just for a second. Just for a second.
Yeah.
Nobody come at me. I'm sorry. I can't, I'm tired. I want to see Black people doing other things.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I feel like our society kind of gets wrapped up in, like, it feels like in like a lot of Black sadness, you know?
It's like trauma
and
porn.
Like, yeah, and it's really unfortunate that like there is so much media about that, which it can be, it is important for mm-hmm. people to like know and be aware of these things. But I feel like there should also be an equal amount of media that's like Black joy,
yeah,
and like Black success and other portrayals besides like, you know, the atrocities towards
suffering.
Yeah, the Black race. Like, I don't feel like there's any other minority group that gets the same amount of like constant like just shocking media like the way that Black people do.
Yeah, I think because when we were thinking about this episode, I was Googling like movies like by Black directors or like Black History Month movies, and it's, why is it just like Harriet Tubman? Like
12 Years a Slave.
Please? Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's other movies out there. Eve's Bayou is a great one. They cloned Tyrone. There are so many other, what is it? White Man Can't Jump. There's so many other movies to check out.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just be that. So I did really enjoy those conversations.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciated this movie because it was about like Black successful writers.
Yeah. Yeah. And a peek into the other side that we don't talk about that much. And a look at the publishing industry, which I find to be very fascinating. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed that a lot.
I think there was a really compelling scene when they're voting on what's the best book.
Yeah. Oh my
And
God.
So what was it, like 5 or 6 of them?
Yeah.
And all of the white writers were like, we have to pick this book. And in the movie, the book is called Fuck.
Yeah.
Because Monk just wants to see how far he can push it.
Yeah.
And so he names his book Fuck. And of course, it's under this pen name. And so it gets nominated for an award. And all the white authors are like, this book has to win. Like, we want to represent like how diverse we can be and all this stuff. And like the only 2 Black judges are like, no.
Yeah.
Like, we do not want this book. to be nominated, and they're like, well, sorry, you're overruled.
Yeah, they literally, you know, so he spends some time on a jury for this this like writing award thing, and so they don't know that he wrote the book, obviously. And him and Issa Rae's character, they're like, this book is terrible. Like, this is trash. This shouldn't be like number one. It shouldn't even be on the list. And they're like, we think it's important to highlight and listen to Black voices. And the scene is literally like Issa Rae and Jeffrey Wright on one side of the room and all of the white writers on the other side overruling their opinion. And I was like, that's funny. Also, something else that I really laughed at, and I was the only one who laughed, is when, what is it? Adam Brody, my bad. The director for his adaptation, he's like, oh yeah, right now we're doing like this scary movie on a plantation where this couple gets murdered by all the ghost slaves. Ryan Reynolds gets stabbed. Hilarious, because Ryan Reynolds was married on a plantation. Hilarious to me.
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I always think about him and Blake Lively getting married on a plantation.
And then they apologized for it later.
Funny.
But it was like
so funny.
So just, it highlighted a lot of things in culture that
I was cracking up.
Like
Nobody laughed at that, but I thought it was funny.
I think a lot of people, it went over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
Because I definitely laughed at that too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
I think that's because we're unfortunately chronically online.
Yeah.
So we were very aware of the fact that they got married on a plantation.
Yeah, that's true. We do hear most of the dialogue that happens.
Yeah. That's probably not like widespread knowledge, but I thought it was funny. That
was
a good
a deep cut.
It was a deep cut. Yeah.
It was
good.
for the chronically online people.
That was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I really feel like there were just so many good scenes. I liked the incorporation of when he starts writing the book and they have
the actors in the room.
actors in the room, and they're sort of reenacting the things that he's writing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I think that was fun, and I wish they would have played on that more.
Yeah, I wish we got more of that. It was cool.
Yeah, I feel like that was really different.
Yeah, you don't really see that very often, and it really takes you out of, I think, the rest of the movie, which I enjoyed, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there was some interesting moments that Jefferson put in his movie. I think something that didn't work for me was the ending. Where it's kind of alternate timelines and he's like imagining how the award ceremony for his book goes, and then he imagines it again and he's talking with the director. And as an audience member, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is real or if this is not real. I know you don't have to give us a conclusive ending in which we know whether you got back with your girlfriend or not, but like
I do want to
know
how that worked out.
I want to know, like, okay. And he does give a little speech where the director's like, does she forgive him? And he's like, I don't know yet. Right now, she's not picking up my calls. Fine, I get it. I get the message is not that the love story is like the highlight of everything, but I have no idea how everything actually ended. It just felt a little rushed.
Yeah, I agree. I wish the ending was a little bit more fleshed out. Yeah. And I do wish I knew how it ended with them. Again, I understand that that's like not the point of the movie, is the love story. Yeah. But I thought it was interesting. I also thought that like the ending just, I don't know. I wanted a little bit more. Yeah. I wanted to know a little bit more about like what it was like for him after. Yeah. You know,
people finding out that he wrote the book. Yeah. I would have liked to see that. And I think that kind of goes back to what I said earlier, where I would have appreciated more of a character arc, I think. Yeah. Because I think him learning how to be in a successful relationship and open up is part of that. You see things improve with his brother a little bit, and you see him call the director and admit that, like, he wrote this and he's not actually, like, a felon and all these things he claims. But you don't even see that conversation, actually. So it would have been nice.
The scene where he gets shot is crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I didn't expect that. I literally just had my seat and went, oh my God. You know?
That was good. That was funny.
That was like, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like at that scene, I was like, oh my God. And then other people were like, oh. Yeah. You know.
We were just like,
tensed up. But yeah, I don't know. I think there are some good conversations too about loneliness and like loneliness in your family and feeling disconnected from the people that you're around. And I feel like that came from like all sides of their family. Yeah. The sister, Monk, and then Clifford, the brother. And then also the mom.
Yeah.
Like when he, oh my God, you know what actually made me tear up? When Monk was in the mom's room.
Was it the genius conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that made me sad.
Yeah, that made me, I literally like wiped away a tear. And he was, what did he say? I think he had asked, did you know that dad was cheating on you?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think that's how the conversation started. And she was like, of course I knew. And
Yeah.
he was like, why did you stay?
Yeah.
They had that conversation. And then she was like, of course you're a genius, Clifford. Like,
That's why you're like lonely.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then, you know what? Actually, I'm thinking about this movie more. When Clifford and the mom were dancing.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, I knew you weren't gay. I cried at that point, too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Because when he walked away, you could just tell he was so shattered.
I know. And then he goes out to his taxi to leave and he's like, this family will, like, what is it, tear you apart.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ugh.
Yeah, definitely. Sterling K. Brown deserves all his flowers for that. I loved him when he was in This Is Us, the TV show.
I didn't watch that. I didn't know. Is that what he's from?
Yeah.
I didn't watch that.
I'm sure he's in other things, but that's what I like have the attachment to him from.
Yeah.
Because he was such a good actor. He's like one of the strongest actors in that show. And I'm not a TV show person, but I think like during the pandemic or something I was watching it.
Dude, that was a popular show for a minute.
Yeah.
And it was on for a while.
Yeah, but he's in it. And that's when I was like, oh my God, he's so good.
Oh.
Yeah. But I was just like, oh my God, it was such a gripping performance.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I would like to see, if this movie gets anything, I would like it to get that. I think it's got pretty tough competition for like, I think adapted screenplay. Mm-hmm. You're going up against like Barbie and stuff like that. And, you know, that's a little tough. And I'm a Past Lives truther. So I do want to see Past Lives come in and sweep. More on that later.
I wouldn't be mad if American Fiction would. I like it. I really enjoyed it actually. Let me see what I gave it on Letterboxd.
I think I gave it a 3.5.
You did?
I did. I think I just had some issues with time and whatnot, and some of that stuff didn't seem, I don't know, it seemed like a big problem to me, but I really enjoyed the performances. It was solid. I would like it to go home. I would like it to go home with something.
I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I think it's deserving.
Yeah.
I think it's deserving.
I gave it a 4. I really enjoyed it. I just really liked the topics of identity and like all different forms. And
I love a family trauma story.
Especially
a black one. I said, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also like funny because the things that these publishers are saying to Monk are like just so outlandish and crazy, mm-hmm. but you know they're true. Like, you know that's true.
I know it's true.
As someone who's not white, and I'm sure for you as well, the shit that white people research sometimes is insane. So I was like, you know what? I believe it if that really happened.
I can't imagine. Also, let me say, I know I just said I love a family, like a black family trauma story, and we just talked about like trauma porn. Listen, it's different because I like how modernized this is. Like, don't give me like slavery. Okay, let me just go back and correct that before anybody is like, what you just said. Listen, I like this. I like Eve's Bayou. That's another one where it's like family dynamic and family trauma, and I like that movie more because it's a little more resolved than this. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, kind of makes me think of the book Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, or I think that's how you say her last name. She wrote this book. It came out last year, I think, and it's an entire satire on the publishing industry from her standpoint as an Asian woman. And I think a lot of people did not receive it really well, but that's what this makes me think of. I've been meaning to check that book out.
I'll have to read that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like it's in line with this movie.
Yeah, it's been a hit or miss. I think the plot of that book is like she writes some great novel and somebody white takes credit for it. Mm-hmm. And that's the
Jesus
book.
Christ.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'll have to read that. And I will have to read Erasure.
Yeah, me too. I'm interested.
I am interested to see how it compares to the movie. And maybe it has even more dialogue and things to say. Maybe it's more fleshed out in the book.
When you Google it, it says it has murder in it. So I'm like, oh
my God.
I know. I'm like, I don't know where you would stick murder in this movie, but I'm interested in checking that out.
Okay, I definitely will have to watch it.
Yeah.
The Letterboxd review score out of 222 fans, it was rated 3.8, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It lands right between our scores.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is Seems about right.
37,000 people liked this. Yeah, I think it was good. I think it's good. I
Worth
want
a
to see
watch.
it. Yeah, worth a watch. I definitely recommend if you've been thinking about it. I think out of most of the Oscar movies, this is definitely up there for me. I would say to check this out.
I agree. It definitely deserves its flowers.
Yeah.
If you've seen all the big movies at the theater and you haven't seen this one, I feel like it's a must watch.
Check
easily.
this out. Skip Naiad.
Yeah. skip Argyle, skip the beekeeper.
Ooh.
You know, and I feel like it was a very well balanced for the most part.
Yeah.
It did balance comedy and serious conversations with
heavier topics.
With good balance, and I appreciated that. You know, it felt like there were perfect amounts of comic relief.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. And that was American Fiction.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a foreshadowing into our Oscar episode. You can look forward to that next month as we get closer. But this is just one of many Oscar movies we're going to be talking about. So thank you guys for listening.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.